My own son looked me in the eye and told me to get out of the house. He forced me to call home. An hour later, a long black car pulled into the driveway, and the life he knew was over. That feeling when you gaze at the child you raised, the one you comforted and guided, and see a complete stranger staring back, that is what I felt. My son, Michael, didn't just ask me to leave. He was ejecting me from the very property my own hands had helped to build. This wasn't his house. I had spent 30 years designing gowns for brides, and every single bead I sewed paid for a piece of this foundation. But on that cool April afternoon, my history meant nothing. I was in the kitchen, wiping down counters. The apron I wore was damp, and my worn hand shook just a little as I scrubbed. Michael walked in, his face set in that same stubborn expression he'd had since he was a boy. "Mom, we need to talk," he said. I dried my hands on a towel, turned, and offered a weary smile. "What is it, Michael?" His wife, Chloe, stepped into the doorway. Her arms were crossed as she leaned against the frame, a spectator to my undoing. "We've decided," Michael said, refusing to meet my gaze. "This place is getting too small. The children need more room, and you're not as young as you were. It might be time for you to find a living situation that's more suitable." My heart hammered against my ribs. I knew exactly what this meant. "A situation that's suitable," I repeated, my voice low. "You mean a retirement home?" "Mom, they're very comfortable places. They have social events, medical staff on call." "A home for the elderly?" I interrupted, the word sharp. "You want to put me in a home?" The quiet in the room became heavy. Finally, Michael looked at me. In his eyes, I saw a coldness I didn't recognize. "Not a home, Mom. A supportive community for seniors. The only difference," I stated calmly, "is that you're trying to make me disappear." My voice was steady. I would not let them see me break. Michael yelled, "Then just go. If you won't go to a home, then get out of my house." His shout reverberated through the kitchen. Chloe tried to hide a smug grin behind her hand, but I saw it. And in that moment, something inside me didn't just break, it solidified. It wasn't my heart. That had been fracturing for years. It was the last fragile hope that I still had a family. I took a slow breath, looked at the son I no longer knew, and did the one thing he never anticipated. I smiled. "All right, Michael, I'll pack my bags." His expression shifted to confusion, tinged with fear. He expected sobs, arguments, but he was met with an unsettling calm. I walked upstairs to the small rear bedroom, little more than a storage closet. I pulled out my old travel case. I folded my clothes with care. I gathered a small wooden box of memories, pictures of my late husband James and me, Michael as a baby, my own mother. I did not cry, not one tear. An hour later, I came downstairs with my suitcase. Michael was on the sofa I'd purchased. When the doorbell chimed, Michael stood with an irritated sigh and opened the door. The look on his face is something I will carry forever. A polished black limousine was idling at the curb. A driver opened the rear door, and out stepped a man in his 70s, silver-haired and dressed in an impeccable navy suit. It was William Thorne, James's former business associate, and one of the wealthiest men in the state. And he had come for me. Michael was frozen. Chloe went pale. William walked right past my son. "Eleanor, are you ready?" he said warmly. I picked up my bag and gave Michael one last look. "Thank you for everything. The house is yours now." I stepped out. The smug look on his face had completely vanished. Through the car's tinted window, I saw him standing rigid on the porch, watching his mother depart in a style he could never afford. And for the first time in 3 years, I could breathe. Inside the vehicle, the air smelled of rich leather. William sat beside me. I held onto my suitcase handle like an anchor. My hands trembled, not from anxiety, but from a powerful mix of relief and shock. "Eleanor, are you all right?" William asked softly. I meant to say I was fine, but what escaped was a tired sigh. "I don't even know what I feel, William. It's all too much." He simply nodded. We arrived at his building, a sleek high-rise. His home was a penthouse with a view of the entire city. "Your room is upstairs," William said. "You have a private bath and a terrace. Please consider this your home now." My home now. Those words echoed as I climbed the stairs. The bedroom was enormous. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally the tears fell. Not from grief, but from a profound release of years of stored up sorrow. My phone was buzzing incessantly. Michael was calling. I let it ring. Notifications flooded the screen, dozens of missed calls, countless messages. "Mom, where are you? Please answer. Who is that man? I'm worried." I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. Worried about me after casting me out? I powered off the phone. A gentle knock came at the door. "Eleanor, I made tea," William said, entering with a silver tray. The aroma of chamomile filled the space, my preferred key. "How did you know?" I asked. "James told me," he replied gently. Mentioning James made my chest ache. James, the love of my life, who had passed 13 years ago. "Why did you come for me today, William? How did you know?" He paused. "I didn't. It was a coincidence. I was driving past and saw your grandson in the yard, and when I saw you walking out with that suitcase and the expression on your son's face, I understood immediately. He threw me out," I said flatly. "My only child." William set his cup down. "Eleanor, there's something I must tell you, something I've held on to for many years." My pulse quickened. "I've always loved you," he said quietly. The silence that followed was absolute. From the day James introduced you, your smile illuminated the entire room. I knew then I had lost my one chance. I was speechless. James was my closest friend, and you loved him, so I buried my feelings. I married, had a family, built my life, but Eleanor, you have always been the only one in my heart. Tears came again. I didn't even understand why. Perhaps because for the first time in so long, someone truly saw me. "My wife passed 4 years ago," he continued. "I never found the courage to seek you out." William stood, came closer, and then knelt before me. "But today, when I saw you leaving that house with the dignity of a queen, I knew I couldn't let you go again." "William, He gently stopped me. "You don't need to say anything. Just know that you are not alone anymore. You will never be alone again." He kissed my forehead and then left the room. I sat there staring at the sparkling city. For the first time in decades, the next morning, William knocked. "Where's something nice?" he said with a mysterious smile. "We have an important meeting." An hour later, we were at his lawyer's office. His attorney, Dr. Rebecca Sloan, shook my hand with respect. "Mrs. Eleanor, Mr. Thorne has a proposition. He wishes to grant you a minority equity stake in 3 of his ventures. This would provide you with an estimated monthly dividend of approximately $100,000. I blinked, stunned. William smiled. "You will never have to rely on anyone again. Not on me, not on an ungrateful son, not on anyone." In that moment, I understood. My life had irrevocably changed. Michael kept calling. Dozens of calls became hundreds, but I never answered. But what Michael didn't realize was that the limousine was only the beginning. His real trouble was just getting started. The following morning, I awoke in William's penthouse. I walked to the terrace and looked down at the city below. From this height, everything looked different. A cold realization washed over me. I had ignored too much, overlooked too many signs, swallowed too many small cruelties for the sake of harmony. I sat and let the memories return. 3 years earlier, I had sold my cozy apartment, a place paid for with decades of sewing gowns. Michael had visited with Chloe and that convincing smile. "Mom, it must be lonely here by yourself. What if you have an emergency?" Chloe chimed in, sweet as honey. Our home is so spacious. The children adore you and will take such good care of you." Michael then said, "Actually, we're planning to open a new boutique, but we're short on capital. If you sold your apartment and invested with us, it would be a real family partnership." So I sold it. I gave it all to my son. 3 years passed, and I never saw a single dollar in return. The memories layered. My grandmother's jewelry disappeared, a pearl brooch, a gold ring. I'd kept them in a small velvet box. One day, the box was gone. "You probably moved it and forgot," Michael said. Chloe stood in the doorway, smiling faintly. "Mother-in-law, honestly, at your age, memory slips are normal." I never saw those jewels again. 6 months later, I saw a photo of Chloe on a beach vacation, wearing a necklace just like mine. When I asked, she laughed it off. I didn't react. I swallowed my anger because I was afraid of losing my son. But the most painful memory was from a summer evening. I went downstairs for water and heard Chloe's voice. "Just a few more months and she'll be in that home. I'm turning her room into my dressing area." She laughed. "We've already spent most of the money from her apartment, but don't worry. Once she's out, we can sell this house." Michael, he just goes along with whatever I say. Weak men are so easy to manage. I went back to my room and cried until my pillow was wet. Yet I still did nothing, because a part of me kept hoping Michael would stand up for his mother. How foolish I was. The months that followed were pure humiliation. Chloe treated me like a servant. "Mother-in-law, since you're not working, you can manage the household." So I cleaned, cooked, did laundry, looked after the children. In return, I had a roof and a tiny room. "Eleanor, warm up Daniel's food. Eleanor, press my blouse." Never a please or thank you. Michael just sat there, pretending not to notice. One afternoon, my grandson Daniel brought home a family drawing. His father, mother, little sister, and a small figure in the corner. "Who is this?" I asked. "That's you, Grandma. But my teacher said to draw our family, and Mom said you're not really part of it. You're just staying for a while." His words pierced my heart. "And what do you think, sweetie?" I asked softly. He grinned innocently. "I think you are family. You make pancakes every Sunday." It was the most beautiful and painful thing I'd ever heard. Sitting now on the penthouse terrace, I could recall every humiliation. And then I realized something within me had shifted. It was clarity. For 3 years, I had accepted scraps of affection, diminished myself to remain. And in the end, they still expelled me, because to someone like Chloe, I would never be enough. And Michael had chosen his side long ago. I picked up my phone. Over 200 missed calls. The messages kept coming. "Mom, please answer. I didn't mean what I said." Didn't mean it, but he said it. He threw me out like garbage. I blocked his number. William knocked and entered with a breakfast tray. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in 3 years." He studied me. "You seem different from yesterday." "I'm remembering," I said slowly. "All the times I stayed quiet when I should have spoken." "What will you do now?" I looked at him. "Now I'll do what I should have done long ago." "What's that?" I smiled. Not the smile of sorrow, but of determination. "I will remember who I truly am. And when a woman remembers who she truly is, those who look down on her learn a lesson they won't forget."
2 days later, William took me to a large commercial building downtown. We entered a law office. Attorney Rebecca was waiting. But what caught my eye was the beige folder on the table. On it, a name was neatly printed. James Thorne. My heart stalled. Mrs. Eleanor, before we start, did you know your late husband was a co-founder of Thorne Enterprises? I did. And did you know that upon his passing, his shares were to be divided among his legal heirs? Yes, my son told me everything was left to him. William and Rebecca exchanged glances. Mrs. Eleanor, your son lied to you. The world halted. What do you mean?
I gasped. James left a notarized will. 40% of the shares belong to you, 40% to Michael, and 20% to a charitable trust. She pushed a document toward me. My hands shook as I took it. James's signature, bold and clear, and next to it, my name, 40%. But Michael said the lawyer advised that since I didn't understand business, it was better if everything was in his name. I signed a power of attorney. You signed for him to manage it, Rebecca corrected firmly, not to steal it. You are still the legal owner of 40%. My head spun. William's jaw was tight. There's more, he said. 2 years ago, Michael sold all the company shares to an investment group. He forged your signature and kept the entire sum. My throat tightened. How much? Rebecca glanced at another paper. The company was valued at approximately $4,500,000. Your 40% was $1,800,000. With interest and damages, the total is now about $2,500,000. $2.5 million. While I was being thrown from my home, sleeping in a closet-sized room, my son was sitting on my fortune. I want to sue, I said, my voice steady. I want every penny returned, with interest, penalties, and justice. Rebecca smiled. The lawsuit is prepared. It only needs your signature. I took the pen and signed 3 copies, each stroke a declaration of war. As we left, my mind was reeling, but in my chest was a new sensation: power. On the way back, William looked at me seriously. Eleanor, are you certain? Suing your own son won't be simple. I interrupted. My grandchildren need to grow up knowing their grandmother wasn't someone to be trampled on. That self-respect isn't negotiable, and that stealing from your mother has severe consequences. William smiled, pride in his eyes. Now that's the Eleanor I remember. That night, I turned off my phone and slept the deepest sleep in years. No guilt, no fear, no regrets. 2 days later, William's landline rang. It was Rebecca. He's been served. Judging by his reaction, I'd say today is the worst day of your son's life. I hung up and looked out the window. The sun was rising. And me? I was just getting started. 3 weeks passed, 3 weeks of total silence from me. That Saturday morning, I decided it was time to look him in the eye. I turned my phone on. He answered instantly. Mom, thank heavens, this is a giant misunderstanding. I can explain. The Oak Room restaurant, tonight at 8. You and Chloe. Don't be late. I hung up. By 7:30, I was ready. I chose a black dress I'd made myself years ago. When I came down, William was astonished. Eleanor, you look stunning. I smiled slightly. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but one can still look presentable while serving it. We arrived at 8 sharp. Michael and Chloe were already at a table. When they saw me, their faces changed. Michael went pale. Chloe's eyes widened. I was no longer the old woman in a wet apron. I was myself again. I walked toward them and sat down. "You both look well," I said casually. Michael swallowed hard. "Mom, about the lawsuit." "Oh, the lawsuit," I interrupted, smiling. "Yes, we should discuss that." I opened my clutch, pulled out a manila envelope, and set it on the cable. "I want you both to see this." Michael tore it open. The color left his face. Inside were copies of the forged documents and bank statements. "Where did you get these?" he whispered. "Your father was a meticulous man. I just never imagined I'd use them against my own child." "Mom, I can explain." "Then explain," I said coldly. "Explain why you forged your mother's signature. Why you stole nearly $2 million from me." Chloe tried to speak. "Mother-in-law, we didn't mean..." I turned to her. "Be quiet. You have no right to speak to me. You're the one who took my grandmother's jewelry and plotted to put me in a home." Chloe went white. Michael buried his face in his hands. "Mom, this is all my fault. Chloe has nothing to do with it." "Good," I said, leaning forward. "Then admit it. Admit you stole my money and threw me out." Tears streamed down his face. "I don't know who you are anymore, Michael. The boy I raised is gone." "Mom, I'm sorry." I laughed, a dry, hollow sound. "You're only sorry because you were caught." I stood, taking my purse. "Your lawyer will deal with mine. Either you return what is mine willingly, or the court will force you." "Mom, wait." I turned one last time. "One more thing, Michael. When I die, don't come to my funeral. Don't pretend to be a devoted son. You had your chance, and you threw it away." I walked out with my head high. I got in the car and took a deep breath. Only then did my body start to shake and a single tear rolled down my cheek. Not from sadness, but from relief. Because at last, after all these years, I had said everything. But that dinner was only the beginning. A week later, William came into my room with a look of anger and disgust. "Eleanor, we need to talk." He held a manila envelope. "The investigator found something. It's about Chloe." He opened the envelope. Inside were photographs. Chloe kissing a man who was not Michael. A muscular, younger man. Jason Reed, personal trainer. They've been meeting for at least a year. A strange sense of vindication rose in me. William pulled out bank statements. "Your grandmother's jewelry was sold, $25,000. The money went into a joint account Chloe opened with this man." I froze. "And this," he said, handing me one last paper. "Plane tickets to Bali, booked under the names Chloe and Jason, paid for with Michael's credit card." It was all true. "Does Michael know?" I asked. William sighed. "He does. He discovered it. Chloe begged for forgiveness and he accepted it." I couldn't believe it. "He's terrified of her," William said quietly. "So he chose to pretend it wasn't happening." I walked to the window. My son was too weak to throw out the woman who betrayed him. "Give everything to Rebecca," I said coldly. "This is fraud. I want her facing criminal charges." 2 days later, I rang the doorbell of the house that was once mine. Chloe opened the door. "I want to speak with my son, alone." Michael appeared, thin, hollow-eyed. I stepped inside. He led me to his study. "I know about Chloe and Jason," I said bluntly. He froze. "I know she's been unfaithful. I know you found out and did nothing. I know she sold Grandma's jewelry to pay for her trip with him." I stepped closer. "And I know one more thing. You are a coward." "Mom, it's not that simple." "It is exactly that simple," I said. "She manipulates you, uses you, betrays you, and you still chose to throw your mother out instead of her." Michael broke down, sobbing. "I'm scared, Mom, scared of losing the kids, scared of being alone." In that moment, I understood. My son was trapped. A part of me felt compassion, but the larger part could not forgive. "Michael, look at me. You have to choose. Either you wake up or you will lose everything." I walked out of the room. Chloe was standing there. I passed her but stopped at the door. "Oh, Chloe, I hope you enjoyed those Bali vacations because your next trip will be to a prison cell." Her face went white as I walked out. That night, attorney Rebecca called. "Eleanor, we have a problem. Chloe just filed for a protective order against you. She claims you threatened her. She also petitioned the court to limit your contact with the grandchildren." The world crashed around me. I felt genuine fear of losing Daniel and Anna. That week was the worst. The hearing arrived. I wore a dark blue suit. The courtroom was stifling. Chloe's lawyer spoke. "My client has lived in constant fear since Mrs. Eleanor threatened her." The judge looked at me. "Do you confirm saying that?" I took a deep breath. "Yes, I said it, but it wasn't a threat. It was a legal statement. She sold family assets to fund her affair." "Liar!" Chloe shouted. The judge banged her gavel. Chloe's lawyer continued, arguing that my visits caused the children emotional distress. It felt like my soul was being torn out. No seeing my grandchildren, no hugs. Tears filled my eyes. Rebecca stood. "Your Honor, this is blatant manipulation. The plaintiff is using the children as weapons." The judge was silent for a long time. Then she spoke. "I grant the petition in part. Mrs. Eleanor is prohibited from approaching the family residence." My world collapsed. Then the judge continued. "However, visitation rights with her grandchildren will remain, provided the meetings take place in a neutral location and under supervision once a week." It wasn't the outcome I had hoped for, but it wasn't the worst. Chloe wore a triumphant smile. When I left the courthouse, I was completely drained. William was waiting. I broke down in his arms. I cried for the injustice. "She won," I sobbed. "She managed to separate me from my grandchildren." William held me tightly. "She hasn't won, Catherine. This was just one battle. The real war is still ahead." That night, I couldn't eat or speak. William sat beside me. "That woman doesn't know who she's dealing with," he said. "She underestimates you." He stood and returned with a thick folder. "I want us to stop defending and start fighting back." He opened it. "David's business is on the brink of bankruptcy. Poor management, reckless spending. In 6 months, he'll owe over $500,000. I looked up. "How do you know that?" He smiled. "Because I quietly bought up his debts. I'm now his biggest creditor. I can make his company collapse anytime I want." It took me a moment to process. "You did this for me?" William looked at me. "I did it because David deserves the consequences and because now you get to decide his future." I looked down at the documents. For the first time in days, I smiled. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. It was strategy. I called Rebecca. "I need a forensic accountant. I want every dollar of my son's company investigated." I also hired a private investigator who specialized in child welfare. "I want to know how my grandchildren are living. I suspect she's neglecting them." A week later, Rebecca arrived with a thick folder. "Your son isn't a thief," she said. "David's just incompetent. His money's been drained systematically by one person." I held my breath. "Emily." "Exactly. Over the last 3 years, more than $340,000 disappeared. Every trail leads to her." She flipped to another page. "Your grandmother's jewelry, it wasn't sold for what she claimed. It was actually sold for much more. She pocketed the difference." My hands trembled. Finally, I had real proof. "What do we do now?" I asked. Rebecca gave a cold smile. "Now we destroy her." The next day, the investigator brought the report about my grandchildren. There were photos. Daniel waiting outside the school with no one to pick him up. Anna crying with a sunburn. It was undeniable evidence of neglect. I held those pictures. "Is it enough?" I asked Rebecca. He flipped through the pages. "Catherine, you don't just have enough evidence. You're holding an arsenal." But one thing still tore at me, Michael. That night, I sat with William. "I could destroy them both," I said, "but he's still my son." William took my hand. "So what will you do?" I took a deep breath. "I'll give him one last chance. One. But on my terms." I turned to him. "I'll offer a deal. I'll erase the debt if he does 3 things. Divorce Chloe immediately, attend therapy with me and the kids, and repay all the money he stole. If he refuses, then I'll end it. Emily will go to prison, David will lose everything, and I'll take custody of the children." Henry looked at me with admiration. "You're brilliant." The next day, Rebecca drafted the agreement. The meeting was set for Tuesday morning. I arrived early. At exactly 10 a.m., the door opened. Michael walked in first, thin and hollow-eyed. Chloe followed, her arrogance gone. I looked straight at Michael. He looked frail. Rebecca began. She turned on a projector. Charts appeared. Over the past 3 years, more than $340,000 have disappeared from Murder David's company. She pointed at the red numbers. David's eyes widened.
"Liars! All liars!" Chloe shouted. The forensic accountant stood. "Nothing here is fabricated." He clicked to the next slide. "Here is a transfer to a joint account under the names Chloe and Jason Reed." The lover's name hit the room. Michael jumped to his feet. "Jason, you put his name on your account?" "David, let me explain." "Explain what?" I said coldly. The accountant moved to the next slide. "Property purchase in Miami, price $280,000. The room fell silent. Michael staggered. "You bought a house with him with my money?" Chloe was cornered. "And there's more," I said. Rebecca changed to the next slide.
Photos of my grandchildren appeared. Daniel sitting alone, Anna's sunburned arm. "While you were busy with your lover and stealing money," I said slowly, "your children were being neglected." The therapist present spoke. "The school is deeply concerned." Michael broke down, burying his face in his hands. "I didn't know. God, I didn't know." "Because you never looked," I shouted. "You were too busy being her slave." Chloe shot up, pointing at me. "You're just a bitter old woman." I stood too. "You call betrayal and child neglect a life? You're a liar and a terrible mother." "Enough!" Rebecca slammed his hand on the table. He opened the final folder. "David, now it's your turn." He placed a document in front of my son. "Your company owes over $500,000. Your mother is willing to erase the entire debt if you agree to 3 conditions." I slid the contract toward my son. Michael read aloud, his voice trembling. "Immediately divorce Chloe, attend family therapy, and repay the money in 10 years. The room was silent. I looked into his eyes. "If you agree, I'll help you rebuild your life. You can reclaim your place as a father." "And if I refuse?" he whispered. "If you refuse," I said firmly, "I'll end it all. Chloe will be prosecuted, you'll go bankrupt, and I'll fight for full custody." Chloe screamed, "Don't sign it! She's bluffing!" Rebecca slid another set of papers toward her. "This is the official complaint. The documents will be sent to the court this morning." Chloe's face went pale. Michael looked at the paper, then at me, and finally at her. "David, don't do this," Chloe pleaded. "Think about the kids, about our family." "Family?" Michael turned to her, his voice low but firm. "You destroyed this family. You stole from me, betrayed me, used my mother's money to buy a house with your lover." He picked up the pen and signed. Chloe screamed, cursed, and tried to grab the papers, but security held her back. She was escorted out, still yelling. When the door closed, silence filled the space. Michael collapsed into his chair, buried his face in his hands, and sobbed uncontrollably. I walked over, placed my hand on his shoulder, and whispered, "Now we start over from nothing, together." He hugged me and we cried, because some things, though broken, can still be mended. 6 months later, I sit on the balcony of my apartment. So much has changed. Chloe is serving community service. She lost everything. Michael now lives in a small apartment. He works for a logistics company. Last week, he told me, "Mom, for the first time in years, I sleep well. No debts, no lies." He has shared custody, and every Saturday, the kids visit me. Today is Saturday. The doorbell rings. I open the door. "Grandma!" Anna runs into my arms. Daniel follows, hugging me tight. "Grandma, we brought all the ingredients to bake." Michael stands at the door holding bags. "Good morning, Mom." William steps out from the kitchen. "Well, are we ready to make the best chocolate cake in America?" The kids cheer and rush to the kitchen. The kitchen turns into a sweet battlefield. Michael stands next to me. After a while, he says softly, "Mom, thank you." "For what?" I ask. "For not giving up on me, even when I didn't deserve it." I place my hand over his. You're my son. I can be angry, I can hurt, but I'll never abandon you." He quickly wipes away a tear. "Therapy helped me see that I'd been emotionally abused for years. Now I feel free, as if I'm alive again." The cake finishes baking. We sit around the table. Anna proudly shows me her drawing of our family, all of us holding hands. William looks at me from across the table, smiling. I return his warm gaze. When everyone leaves, William and I sit on the balcony. He takes my hand. "Catherine, you did it. You rebuilt everything." "We did it," I said. "I couldn't have done it alone." "You could have," he laughs. "You're the strongest woman I've ever known." I rest my head on his shoulder. "You know what I've learned from all this?" I ask softly. "What's that?" he says. "That we don't have to settle for broken pieces. That self-respect isn't for sale. And even when life shatters us, we can still piece ourselves back together." I turn to him. "And when we rebuild ourselves with our own hands, we never return to what we were." So what do we become? We become diamonds.